Welcome, and Collins here from Magic Crafts. Today we're going to create this lovely fall card. Let's go with the products I used to create this card. Kaleidacolor Ink Pad in Vineyard, and this one has beautiful shades of purples and greens. We're going to use fireworks spray in the following colors: Dandelion, Ladybug, Bamboo Leaves, Rosebud, and Paris Dusk. Oh, and Cottage Ivy. I'm sorry, I missed one there. Shimmer, sheer shimmer spray in copper and in rose gold. Our tear tape and on-point glue to put our card together. We're going to bring in some dies from PoppyStamps. We're going to bring in the mushrooms and toads and the orchard leaves. We have our card base, which is a 110-pound white card. A panel here of card, which is 80 pound, which is our dark brown, and light cream colored or a cream colored cardstock that is about 65 pounds, and some enamel dots for some finishing touches. I have two panels cut here at 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Those I'm going to use to create our blended backgrounds. Now I did some of these off screen, but I'm going to show you on screen how we create this. That's the first one we used, the Kaleidacolor. The second one here, I used the fireworks spray in both the Ladybug and the Rosebud. And these two panels are a mixture of all of our fireworks sprays. So in this first one, I have a nice gradient type style here, and I have a little bit of each, a 3 blend here. And this last one, I have about a 4 blend or so, because I have fireworks, fireworks in Ladybug and in Rosebud. Then a little bit of the Dandelion yellow. I threw in a little rose gold and so forth. And this one here, I have the fireworks spray in Cottage Ivy, Bamboo Leaves, Ladybug, and Dandelion. Let me show you how easy these are to create. It's much easier than just rattling off all the colors. First panel we're going to start with is with our Kaleidacolor Vineyard stamp pad. This is a stamp pad that lets you do each color individually, or if you shift it together, you get all the colors together. All I did was rub it directly onto my paper. The more you rub, the more saturated the paper gets, the nicer, richer colors you get. And I use that on top of a little foam that I get because of the little handle there to switch things over. It adds a little height. Alright, so then I put it in a splat box while it's still wet. It's still not dry yet. And I start sprinkling on a little bit of our sheer shimmer craft spray in copper. I use the nozzle, and then I also use a fine detail brush just to add those little splatters that I want. So I'm going to set this to the side to dry. And if you wanted to fill your full panel and wanted more of that lighter purple, just rub the card on that end. Next is how I created one of our panels. I'm going to just use this quick 4 blend here. I'm going to start off with Dandelion fireworks spray. Now make sure you give your sprays a nice little shake, because all the beautiful shimmer is towards the bottom. After each use, wipe your nozzle. That way you don't get clogged. You can do full spray like I did there, or little splatters, which I like to do a combo of each so you can get some dimension. So I went in with Ladybug. Now I'm coming in with with Bamboo. And then I finally add a little bit of the Cottage Ivy for a little bit darker green. And I'll just keep spraying these until I get the color wave that I would like. If it's puddling too much, you can use a little bit of a brush or your finger to spread it if you don't like it just puddling right in one area. Add a little bit more of our dandelion yellow, and then I would set this to the side to dry. If you're working quickly and you don't want it to wait to dry, just heat set it with a heat tool. So next we're going to go ahead and stamp our sentiment. I have a little piece of the same ivory and cream, similar, colored cardstock. I put this in my stamping platform, and I'm going to use VersaFine Onyx ink to stamp our sentiment. I'll do this twice because our sentiment is nice and thick, and I want to make sure I get a nice even saturation so you can read the sentiment really well. So now that I have all my panels ready, I'm going to go ahead and die cut all the pieces. So for the bottom of my mushrooms, I'm going to use plain white cardstock. And I've die cut all that off screen just to save us all some time. So here are the different leaves cut out and our little mushrooms. I left one to show you how easy it is to put these together. So there's our bottom stem and then our cap. As you can see in my finished mushrooms, I have some little light detail. So I'm going to bring in my Memento Desert Sand marker. These markers are dual tip, and though we have a little fine detail one and a brush tip one. I used the brush tip one just to put a few brush strokes and a few dots onto our stem. I add a little bit of on point glue to the little top of the little stem and put the cap on. Set it aside to dry. Now let's build our card now that we have all our components. I'm going to use our carrot tape on the back of the cream cardstock here, and I'm going to apply this panel onto our dark brown or brown cardstock. Again, this cream panel is only 65-pound weight, and the brown cardstock is 80-pound weight, and our card base is 110-pound weight. So this is more or less how I want my sentiment to be, because I'm going to create a cascading side here of leaves, and I'm just going to go ahead and start adhering them using our on point glue all down the left side and just funneling across the bottom. I'll reserve like a few leaves over for the right side, especially the right top corner, because I don't want it to be too heavy on one side, and a little bit for tucking under our sentiment. And all I do is alternate these in different directions. Remember, these are falling leaves. They're falling off our branches of our trees, so they can go in every direction you would like. I took the darker ones that I used, the ink pad, as more of my base to ground our leaves, because those were darker, more jewel tone colors. And then the ones I did with the shimmer spray, I left them because they're more iridescent, of course, because they have a lot of that shimmer in them, but they are also lighter, so that gives a lot of movement and texture to the card. So I'm just going to continue that, and I took a mushroom right there in the left corner, and then I'll tuck another mushroom right next to that. And throughout our little falling leaf clusters, I will tuck all those little tiny and medium mushrooms along the way, just to give those little pops of color with the red in here. And for the top of the red mushrooms, I'm not sure if I mentioned that, that is just our Ladybug and Rosebud spray on one of them, a card panel, that I die cut all the caps out of. As for the bottom of the mushrooms, they're just out of white cardstock. All of these panels that I cut everything are inked up and ink cut. All our die pieces is from 110-pound cardstock. It's the same cardstock I use for my card bases. All right, so right here, I'm going to put a little bit of a few leaves here, just so that it balances out, because you have all that heaviness on the left side. I'm going to tuck 2 leaves down here, this little trio, and then the single green one. Once that's all tucked in, I'm going to add our mushrooms that are left throughout, and then I will finish it off with some enamel dots. Now I know I rattled off a lot of spray colors and ink pad color and so forth. I will have all that in the description box below with links to the shop, so for easy reference for purchase if you would like to, and if you already have them, so you can pull those colors out and recreate this yourself. So now I'm going to adhere our top panel to our card base using a little bit more of our tear tape. Just removing the backing, and once I have that, I will line this up. Once I have that all lined up, we can add just our finishing touches. For our finishing touches, I'm going to bring in some enamel dots. You can use anything you would like as finishing touch. However, with all that shimmer and shine, you don't have to add anything extra. I just like to add little things like little finishing touches like this to all my cards. So I'm just sprinkling them throughout. I'm using the smaller enamel dots except for the gold ones. I use medium size for those. Those are gold glitter enamel dots. And I just add them throughout the little leaves and mushroom clusters that I created. And there it is, our finished card. You have all that beautiful shimmer and shine. So we use some poppy dyes, but we use our sheer shimmer spray in copper, rose gold, firework spray in dandelion, ladybug, bamboo leaves, rosebud, Paris dusk, and cottage ivy. A little memento marker in desert sand, a Kaleidacolor in Vineyard. In Vineyard, that's what it's called. And look at all the leftover beautiful panels I have to create more projects. That's the best thing about this. You create these panels, you can continue to use them for more cards. Let's not forget my VersaFine Onyx black ink that I use for our sentiment. Thank you for being here, and I hope you found some inspiration. Until next time, this has been Annie Collins.